So I think that we start to model it. Then we start to teach it directly by taking our sons out into the wilderness and teaching them how to just do basic things, start a fire out in the wilderness, giving them the sort of tools and resources to connect them to nature and the life that is outside of them is, I think, incredibly important. I think that when does this self-leadership piece start to show up? I think it's role modeled from the get-go. So like my son sees me work out, all the time, and he loves to come into the gym. I bought these gymnastics rings to hang from the ceiling, and he likes to come into the gym and just like swing off of them, And so, I think right from the get-go, he's getting a sense of dad is taking care of himself, dad is leading himself. And that will continue to happen where, when I get things wrong, I can admit it. When I screw up as a parent or as, the husband to his mother, that he'll see a man who can lead himself in a respectful way to admit wrong, and admit wrongdoing. And so I think that it begins with modeling. And I think that's incredibly important because children learn, and us as human beings, we learn through modeling. Men and boys especially, they see what you do and they try and pick it up, right? The reason why my son started swinging off of those rings is because I was using them for push-ups one day, and then he went and tried to mess around with them. And so I think it begins young in the sense that we model for our sons and for the younger generation of men what it looks like to lead ourselves. And then as they cross the threshold into hitting puberty and entering into being a teenager, and all of a sudden they have copious amounts of testosterone flowing through their body, and they're getting boners on the bus and in class and wanting to watch porn and, do all this crazy shit, that we begin to interject in a way that says, cool, you're 16, you could drive your car at 200 kilometers an hour through a farmer's field. Or what might be the more responsible things to do? Like, how can we direct some of that energy? Maybe we take that and put it into martial arts or a sport or helping you to start your own business, if that's something that you're interested in at a young age. And so we start to insert ourselves and encourage them to lead themselves with respect. And, I have the fortune of working with some father-son clients, which is a very fun and unique experience. Men that are bringing their 16-year-old son into coaching, into a therapeutic environment, who are trying to say, okay, what have I done wrong? How am I modeling this for my son? So I think that we start to model it, then we start to teach it directly, right? By taking our sons out into the wilderness and teaching them how to just do basic things, start a fire out in the wilderness, right? Build a fort, right? Giving them the sort of tools and resources to connect them to nature and the life that is outside of them is, I think, incredibly important. And then we start to see where they're curious and where they might actually want to lead themselves, whether that's within some creative endeavor like music or art or dance, or whether it's, within gymnastics or some form of sport or some sort of entrepreneurial endeavor. And we start to see if we can step back enough as a parent to encourage and nourish the flourishing of what's emerging in that young boy. And I think in doing that, we evoke that self-leadership out of them. And I think the final thing that I'll say is we encourage risk. We have, and there's a ton of research that's been done on this by people like Jonathan Haidt about how we have created this very coddled version of parenting the younger generation. And I think it's suffocating for a young boy. And so we know that part of the role of what a father can do for his children, specifically what a father can do for his son, is to encourage risk-taking in a meaningful way, not in a reckless way. And that the absence of that can be quite dangerous, right? That the absence of that can lead to seeking comfort constantly and complacency and not having developed a deeper sense of grit or determination. And so if you can start to encourage that risk-taking, what you're actually doing is saying, lead yourself into some interesting unknown territory and see what happens.